Hey Mark, how you doing?
Good, Brian. How are you?
I am good. I'm wonderful. It is gorgeous here in Kansas City. Oh my gosh. I had to sneak outside over lunch today and kind of just do a little walk, a loop around the house. It was just so beautiful. Had to get out and stretch my legs and get the juices flowing for the day. How's it out there?
It's warm.
Yeah?
Got up to 80, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's warm.
Yeah, so not very nice, though.
Yeah.
I've
No,
been
no.
working all day. Sorry, I can't relate.
Yeah. I know you've been working hard. But yeah, so I'm excited to talk about tonight's topic. This is an interesting one. So we're going to talk about engagement drives performance. So when you look at engagement, there's a lot of different elements that go into team engagement, and so much of it falls on the leader's shoulders to really create that culture, that environment for engagement. And I think there's an opportunity to discuss some of this here. And I do want to mention that I had a great conversation with some colleagues of ours that we were discussing T times M equals P and how mindset is so important when it comes to driving engagement. And so I'd love to get your thoughts on how all this stuff sort of fits together. How does a leader help to drive that engagement level? What can leaders do to impact both talent and mindset there? I think can be a good piece to discuss. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, Mark.
Yeah, so great topic. I think the biggest thing would be to make sure everyone understands that engagement drives performance.
Hmm.
So survey after survey, proven over and over again, the higher the level of engagement of the team, the higher the performance. So as a leader, you own that. You've got to figure it out because when the team is engaged, performance happens. And, T times M equals P always plays out here. So as a leader, if you're focused on increasing the talent of your team through your development classes, we used to do development classes every day. Remember that, Brian?
Yeah. Yep. All the time.
Every day as a leader, we drove
Hmm.
increased talent of the team, teaching them things. That increases mindset and that drives performance. So as a leader, you've got to look at your rhythm and look at how your week is built. And are you driving up the talent of your team throughout the week? It's not, well, I'll get to it, next month. No, 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 no. It is an ongoing process because T times M equals P, which we've taught over and over again. Talent times mindset, if you look at them 0 to 10, 0 to 10, equals the performance of the team. That's huge. And that drives engagement. We found over and over again that when the leader was constantly teaching the team, engagement went up. Not only did their talent go up, their mindset went up, which drove engagement. And that, of course, drove performance.
Hmm.
So it's a critical part of what a leader needs to do daily, certainly weekly. It's got to be part of your rhythm.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, I totally agree. The creating a teaching organization. So in Gapology, we talk about a teaching organization. We've got a pyramid in there that sort of lays it all out and talks about that. But in order to do that, you really do need to ensure that teaching is valued, right? You have to create a value around it. You have to build that into your rhythm as a leader and teach every day. And that's a great way to do it. That sort of builds that habit. Doing that over and over again, you're building the experience in that area, and you're really growing that habit as a leader.
Yeah, that's huge.
Mhm.
The other thing we found is the rule of 49, which was simply that when a leader got the team to a talent level of a 7, 0 to 10, when the team was at a talent level overall of a 7, and the mindset also got to a 7 overall, 7 times 7, 49, that the team performed at a very high level. So as a leader, you have to walk that balance of achieving the rule of 49. It works. It's a magic number. When I first saw it, I didn't think it was good enough. It works great. So again, as a leader, you own that. And engagement is a huge piece of that. And it just brings it all together. And when 49 happens, again, performance is is of great significance. And the leader owns it. The leader owns the T, the leader owns the M, and 7 times 7 equals the 49 of performance. The leader owns that. So as a leader, you have to develop a rhythm that gets you to 49 or higher. I understand 49 may not sound great. It works. It
Yeah.
works.
Yep.
So what do you think about that?
Yeah. Yeah. The interesting thing I see in this equation is that when you're doing your rating, so 0 to 10, right? Um, 1 point difference between moving up or down in talent or mindset, it's really the same. So if you move up 1 point in talent, it's the same as moving point up in mindset. And you really think about what can you impact as a leader instantly? What can you instantly impact? You can instantly impact somebody's mindset, good or bad. The talent takes a little bit of time. You need to work with that. There's some things you need to do there, but you can instantly change somebody's mindset right away. And in some of these conversations that I've had, one of the things that's interesting is, when leaders face stressful situations, when they maybe they're facing something, maybe it's a geopolitical uh, incident, right? Something that's happening in the world around us, something that's out of our control, something that we can't immediately control on our own, but it's sort of impacting our business. As teams and as leaders, we have to sort of handle those things, those stressful situations. So, what do you think we can do as leaders to sort of make an impact there, Mark?
Yeah, so the team looks to the leader to see how stressed they are.
Yeah,
So the leader needs to be confident. The leader needs to have a plan. The leader needs to focus on the team and the behaviors of the team. So the leader's behavior matters. So looking stressed out is not a good thing for the team. Having a plan and being confident and working through it is great for the team.
hmm,
So they do look to the leader. So uh, be very cognitive of your emails, your texts, your conversations, because stressful situations are happening and they will continue to happen, I think, forever, right?
right. Oh,
Somewhere
100%.
around forever.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So leadership is about working through those.
Mhm.
And leadership is really about driving T&M, talent and mindset. And that's a big part of mindset. If the leader's crushed by whatever happened today, the mindset of the team will drop. You cannot afford that. You cannot allow that. And you need to work through it. When they see you truly be a leader and work through a tough scenario and develop a very significant plan to overcome it, that's huge for the team, because again, you're setting an example for all the future leaders and the leaders that are on the team, and it's a total game changer. So understand that your body language, your messaging, your communication matters in tough situations.
Yeah. Yeah. Your tone of voice, just how you carry yourself, all those things impact your message, what you're delivering, how you're communicating. People read into those kinds of things. And if you look, like you said, stressed out or worried or just not focused, this particular leader that I was talking to, she was talking about that on her team, winning leaders have a growth mindset. So they're always looking at, how can I improve? How can I help the team improve? Where other leaders sort of have the stagnancy mindset where they're sort of like, oh, poor me. They're sort of blaming, the outside world or outside circumstances or whatever. But those that have that sort of growth mindset, they really look for how can I improve? What are some things I can build into my leadership rhythm that's going to make a big difference?
Yeah, so true. And when you're in a stressful situation, maybe your competitors are as well. If you develop a scenario, a plan to overcome that, that can be huge for the team and huge for performance. The other thing to remember, though, and I learned this a long time ago, is that the engagement level of the team Write this down if you can. The engagement level of the team is equal to the performance. It can be proven over and over again. So whatever you can do to increase the engagement level of the team will drive performance. We know that. So think about that as the leader, high engagement. The other thing that we know drives performance is clear expectations. When you're clear as the leader that the expectations have not changed, that we are going to achieve these metrics, that drives performance. When they are clear that these are expectations, they're not goals, by the way. We'd love to have these. No, 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 no. We're talking about expectations. We're going to deliver these. That drives performance. That also drives engagement. That increases the engagement of the team. So your clarity as a leader around these things really matters. And if it's in a stressful situation, it matters even more. It matters even more. That's what leadership's all about.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, there's so many opportunities to sort of prove that we have the capability of being a winning leader. Certainly, it's easy to be a leader in the winning times where things are great, money's flowing in the door, but it's those times where there's all that headwind, the stuff that we're fighting against, obstacles and different things. That's when your true mettle really is demonstrated, I think, as a leader.
Yeah, so true. So true. So be ready for that day
Yeah.
because it's coming. It will come. You and I have experienced that many times over. The other thing that we found is that, and we wrote a book called Speed of Purpose, we found that teams with a purpose, where the purpose was applied to every role. So every person knew their role and they knew how the purpose applied to their role. They performed at a totally different level. So purpose can literally overcome stressful situations. So if your team does not have a purpose, I mean, we wrote a whole book about it called Speed of Purpose. If your purpose as an organization um, isn't clear to the team, you're missing something big. Because when that becomes clear by role, everyone on the team can speak to the purpose. That will overcome these stressful situations. Every role tied to the purpose is a game changer. We estimated the increase in productivity at 2.8 times. That's a big number. That may sound small. Picture somebody performing at 2.8 times the productivity of their current, execution level. It's huge. And again, stressful situations don't stand a chance against a purpose that was built to last 100 years.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah. I always think it's interesting when you see a company that's really tied to that purpose. They fire on all cylinders and they're working towards something that's larger than themselves. And one thing I would say is as leaders, depending on your level in the organization, right? You impact your direct report team. You can impact your peer group. If you don't have a purpose that's given to you by people higher than you, you can certainly, sort of, reach out for them, try to partner with them, try to create those things. But take a look at your work group that you actually control. You can create a purpose for your work group. I've seen that work many times where, teams like, we don't see a larger purpose necessarily that we're connected to, but we're going to create one ourselves. I think taking that ownership, you can sort of set the example for those higher up to kind of look to and build something for the organization.
No, I love that. I love that. The other thing that we learned in our gapology work, we learned so much. And again, most of you have probably read gapology or are familiar with that, but it was about winning leaders and how they achieved great performance. We then wrote a book called Imbar, which was about those same winning leaders and how they had an identity and developed an identity within the team that was transformative. And I can tell you that the leaders that helped create identity for the individuals on the team won big. So they were aware that most people working for them did not have a clear identity, and they helped them define that. They would give them an identity. They would say, Brian, you're the greatest public speaker I've ever heard. You're awesome at that. You should work on that for the rest of your life. They would build up the identity of an individual. When that happened, it literally worked because Brian, who may not have had an identity around that, suddenly started picking that up and understanding that, wow, I do have skill here. And it really built a strength that could overcome any stressful situation. Great leaders, we found, always support the identity of their team. They reinforce it. And by having that, the team can overcome things they wouldn't have been able to overcome otherwise. And it really trumps the noise out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've got a lot of podcast episodes on both IMBAR and Speed of Purpose. So if you haven't had a chance to read those books, there's a lot of great resources there that you can get. One thing that sort of occurred to me as you were talking there, Mark, even though we have these different books with different topics, right, subject matter, they're all somewhat connected still. So when we look at the behaviors of winning leaders, they create a purpose. Their team is wrapped in that purpose. Their team is focused on delivering that purpose. And through that, they create this sort of identity and mindset for their teams around that purpose, around the things that are meaningful. And then their behaviors are all established to prevent and close gaps. That's part of that whole process. These things are all sort of connected. And I think there's an opportunity for leaders out there. If you are facing some of this noise, I thought that was a great term for it, Mark, calling it noise. The the political climate, the
Yeah,
news. It's like, geez,
whatever it is.
yeah, you turn on the news, whatever that is, or it could be certainly buying patterns in your from your customers. It could be some sort of change situation at work. There's lots of these things that can really impact their mindset. But using some of these tools that we present can help you lead through those different noisy situations.
Yeah, yeah. As you establish yourself as a winning leader, you're going to be able to overcome
Mhm.
virtually anything that we're aware of.
Yeah, yeah. I do want to circle back on something that you had mentioned earlier too, when you were talking about your rhythm. So I think that is a key tool. So looking at how do you block your time to deliver on the things that are most important for you, your most important goals, expectations, objectives, the things that you're going after. How do you schedule and block your week? Are you blocking time for the things that create the most impact, or are you sort of letting the world kind of happen to you? I think there's an opportunity for leaders to dedicate time each week to reflecting on what are their most important objectives that week and scheduling out time for it.
Yeah, I would add to that that we found that the winning leaders, the top performers, looked at their business on a weekly basis and they crafted, that may be a good word, they crafted the week to ensure great performance. They carved out the week. They looked at it as of great significance. It's a 168 hours, by the way, if you didn't know that, Brian. And they looked at the 168 hours as an opportunity to create great performance, and they went after it. And they were on purpose about how the week flowed. They didn't let noise get in the way. They had a rhythm that created great results, great performance, and that drove T times M equals P within their team.
Mhm.
And once that happened, boom.
Yeah, yeah, no, that really creates that stability that the team needs, especially if they're feeling anxious or worried or nervous about things. Looking to you and you stand up strong, you have a strong communication delivery, your tone is great, and you have this consistent rhythm that you're following, they can really rely on you to be that foundation for the rest of their life.
Yeah, one of the leaders that we uh, followed in Gapology would continuously say, "We got this."
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they would turn to their team and they say, "We got this."
Yep.
And when they said it, they meant it and they delivered. And it was significant to the team because when the team heard that, they knew we got this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. What a different message that is than sort of like, being sort of,
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh my God. What are we going to do? Yeah. Yeah. So I definitely think that, this is a great topic this week. I think, our viewers can certainly get a lot out of this. So, capture some of these notes. If you need to go back and re-listen to this, do that. But if you need help, we're here. You can certainly reach out to us. Contact@gapology.org. And I'll put the information on the screen and I'll put some visuals on there as well.
Well, thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Let us know if you need anything.
Yep. Thanks a lot, Mark. We'll see you later.
Have a great week.